Billy Holmes, Holmes Hot Rod and Cycles. Today's episode, we get this and this and that. Stay tuned. All right, first up, let's go ahead and install this CPP master cylinder with the power brake booster. It's got everything ready to go installed. All we have to do is get the old linkage off the brake pedal and install this on the firewall. We took the old master cylinder off when we tore down the engine bay just to get it out of the way. So this shouldn't be too long of a job. Let's go. All right, let's get down here on the floorboard. We're going to go ahead and remove all of this stuff because we got to replace the column anyways. So this all has to drop out. That'll make getting to that brake lever a little bit easier. This is going to be a kind of a tricky situation filming, so sorry if my head gets in the way. It's just really no easy way of doing this. So let's go ahead and start tearing into this. Yeah, I love old trucks. So these are the 4 bolts that just came out. You got a like a coarse thread style bolt, but this is more kind of like a self-tapper type thread. Then you have a regular bolt here that's a little bit finer thread. And then you have one of those, what I call those little body screws that hold the fenders and stuff like that on. All 4 different, holding the same piece on. So we're going to see about putting that back. Hopefully the threads aren't all jacked up, because those are all different thread patterns. Hey, old trucks. All right, so this is out of the way. Get this so this doesn't slap me in my dome, hopefully. And pull this little rubber boot off there. And let me get in here and see what else we need to take down to drop this column out of the way. And hopefully not on my face. Alright. Let's see here. Oh, I think it's coming down on my face. Let's see here. See if I can hold that so it doesn't kill me. So that kind of keeps it there. I got to disconnect the wiring connector, which is there. And now that's hopefully free to come out when I drop it. And I'm going to go to the front. I've already pulled the firewall. Oh, there we go. That just broke the thumb. Ow! Alright, let me go check the firewall and see if this column is ready to come out. Let's see here. There's the wire connector. Real quick look to the firewall. There was a little bracket on the firewall that the circle clamp holds it that I had to get out. So now I'm going to try to fish this out. The side door, I do have to turn it for those shift linkages that are over here. There's a teardrop snow cone. I can't even do it with my hand. Look at that snow cone little thing. So you got to basically turn those linkages down to pull it out. Let's see if we can maneuver this thing out between the pedals. May have to end up horn button. May have to end up taking the steering wheel off. almost. Get the clutch pedal out. Oh, there we go. All right. Look at this guy. There we go. All one piece. Just had to get that kind of clutch pedal out of the way. You kind of see this is the bracket here that bolts to this, and this little circle bracket holds that. That's all I had to take off. So now we're good to go, and we can put the new steering column in when we're ready. Here's the old one. We'll clean up the whatever parts if we're going to reuse. I think the new one comes with a new shift column or shift lever handle and all that goodness. So this might be the last time you see this thing. Let's go. Okay, so we got the, it's kind of hard to film in there, so I'm just going to show you. This was the brake rod that was attached to the brake pedal, and it's just one bolt. You can see the nut here. It has a room for a little cotter pin thing. It didn't have that, but this basically sits on the brake lever. Hopefully you see that. It sits on the brake lever, and when you push the brake lever, it just goes in. So the new kit already comes with one, so you got to get this off of the old pedal. Now, depending on the vehicle you have or the master cylinder, sometimes you have to drill a new hole either 1 inch higher or 1 inch lower on that brake pedal. So just look at the instructions on the master cylinder for whatever vehicle you have and see if you can reuse the hole from the factory, or you're going to have to drill another one. Drilling another one kind of sucks because you're up in there and that brake pedal's pretty thick. But that's how that is. And so now we're able to mount it on the firewall so we can go. We're going to use the stock hardware. It does have a little rubber boot that this guy here will put in from the other side. It basically clamps around the firewall, keep stuff out. And on this one, there is a, let's see if we can show you here. The reason we had to take this bracket out is because this does have a little spot here where this bolt is, and if we would have left that in there, there's no way you can get this bolt out. You can slide this bracket, you can slide it up behind it, and then you just have to put the bolt in. So that's the reason we took this bracket out as well. So don't forget that, or you'll never be able to get that out. Go ahead and put the hardware back on and button everything up, and you should be good to go. Go ahead and replace the washers and the nuts and the lock washers, but I'm going to leave the bolts in there. The bolts are what's hard to get out because it clamps everything to the firewall. So we are going to put new hardware for the most part on there. Alright, good to go. Now once we put the column back in, we'll put this bracket and that one last bolt. But that's it. It ain't going nowhere. Okay, we got the boot. Let me see if I can show you this. We got the boot installed here, comes from this side, and then we have the new rod, and it's attached to the brake pedal.
The instructions said that we shouldn't have to drill any more holes. Just make sure that this line or this here isn't bound up, and it's good to go. It goes on the same way the factory one came off. So it there you go. We're good to go. Now we can start putting the steering column in and getting everything back up. All right, let's take a look at this new steering column. A couple things I'm seeing right off the bat is this wiring connector. This isn't going to match up with the truck. Originally, they had like a kind of a moon-shaped connector, so we're either going to have to keep this one and repin the truck, or the opposite and repin this and keep the one on the truck. This also has a little space that we're going to have to find on the fuse box. This is, if I'm not mistaken, for the gear indicator light that's up here. When you go into park reverse and you click your lights on, you'll have like a little lighted up glass bar up here. The only other thing is this truck originally was a manual truck. It was a 3 on the tree, so the reverse lights and the neutral safety switch was all on the transmission. If I remember right, it was not on the steering column. This being an automatic, it's on the steering column. One thing that I'm seeing now, looking at it, is this bracket. This is what bolts it to the firewall down below, and this is the rubber boot. This is on the wrong side of the neutral safety switch. If you put this on just as it is, this neutral safety switch is going to be outside the cab, and that's not correct. This section here, the bracket and the boot, should be over here. So we're going to have to disconnect and pull off the neutral safety switch, and then slide this down and then put this back and adjust it to make sure that the reverse lights come on when they're supposed to. Besides that, we're just going to have to do a little bit of adapting to the transmission, since this was never an automatic truck and we're putting in a different transmission and everything else in. Besides that, it comes with all the levers and everything that we should need there, and it looks like a pretty straightforward install. So we'll get to it after switching out this pin here on the truck side. I'd prefer to use this side, so we're going to depin the truck and see if we can find another connector that matches this and start getting in the truck. All right, so I went digging in the parts bin, and I found a connector for this that I've pulled off I guess apparently another truck. You see I cut it, but the cool thing that I found, look at this, I found it brand new in the package, like new old stock. This here is an adapter, so this basically plugs in here, and then it's the circle one that goes on the truck. So I'm just going to do that. It's a nice little connector. It's brand new. I'll look at it just to make sure that these here are lined up with what the truck needs, and that it's not off of something else that the wiring's different. But if that works, that makes my job a lot easier. Snap that on, put that on the truck, and call it good. Plan B, use this guy here, pull these out, and just put this connector on the truck, and this will pop down something like that and be good to go. All right, so to prepare to put this in, I'm actually going to grab this bracket. This is what holds it up a little bit. I'm going to put one bolt in, so when I put it in there, I'm not trying to finagle with it. I can just basically turn this, and it'll be just snug enough where it holds everything in place, and I can check stuff. So I'm going to do that real quick, and then I also taped the steering column down in the front where I'm going to go through the firewall. I taped it just to kind of hopefully limit the amount of little nicks or anything like that I get on it. So I'm just going to put this back in here. Just put one bolt in it. Maybe. I mean, I got 6 different thread patterns to choose from, if y'all remember. Maybe this ain't the right one. Okay. Let's try that one. There we go. Okay, so now it's just hanging there just loose enough, but once I install it, I can go ahead and turn it over this way and it will hold it for me, I'm hoping. And we're going to try to do that without scratching anything up.
All right, so you can see there we got it taped. You do have to turn it to clear this. Remember the teardrop, you're going to have to turn it, put it in there, and then kind of rotate it back. This should be easier because we don't have that long steering shaft or the steering wheel on it.
So now we're just going to see if we can do this without hitting anything. Okay, so we're good there. So the front, it's leaning against the bottom, but I have it taped, so we should be good. And then we're going to push the wiring through back to where it was. And up out of the way. Use your head to hold the column. Okay. All right, so we're good. Let's rotate this. Well, of course, grab the wire that was hanging down. Okay. All right, so we're still good. We're going to rotate it now that we got it in there. Wiring's good, it's not pinched. And then we're going to rotate this bracket and then boom. Something kind of like that. Just want to make sure the wiring's not pinched. It's pretty close in here. You can worry about that rubber boot later. Want to make sure everything's good to go. It's lined up. Now I'm going to work on the firewall, getting that rubber boot in there, and that'll help stabilize it even more. Right now it's just kind of sitting in there, but that's why I taped it. So if it does hit the firewall down, it's not going to mess anything up. So you're not going to be able to see, but we'll have it here in a minute. Okay, so we got the steering column. This dang thing right here, man. About to piss me off. Thing's gonna stab me 8 times. Anywho, steering column in. You can see the shifter there. I took the tape off of it. You can see the shift lever there that we're gonna have to work with. Now the one thing that we did run into is these little 2 screws that hold the backing plate on, they were missing already. So I'm not sure exactly what screws they were, but they looked to be self-tappers. They weren't big enough for an actual bolt or anything like that. It's these 2 here. It looks like it just self-tapped into the firewall, but this stuff here was hanging down originally when I got it. So I wasn't sure exactly, see, focus, what was supposed to be there. So I just got some stainless steel hardware with some locking nuts, and then made the hole a little bit bigger on the firewall, and then it slid right through here. It's still loose, but that's the way it sits there. I'll tighten all of that up. Got the rubber boot in, that's good to go. We've tightened up this bracket here. This is one that was holding it down. I've went ahead and put it in there. The wiring's good. Got the rubber boot here, and then the steering column's in. So, and then there's the wiring, that little adapter piece. I will tie all of this up, but it looks pretty good. The distance looks fairly well. I'm going to put everything in there, put the steering column on, or the steering wheel, sorry, put the seat back, make sure everything's adjusted right before I finally tighten everything down. But it's in, went in pretty well. Tape up the ends and then use your head to hold that up. That's the trick. Use your head to hold this up, and while you're finagling down there, and that little bracket there. One step down. Okay, steering column's in, and finally found out where that spring goes. Had to Google some instructions on this thing, but there's a little like a little wormhole on the backside here that the spring's got to go down and then kind of slide into. It just adds tension to this shifter, so when you pull it and you let it go, it'll spring back and lock into place. But column's in. It's loose. I'm going to put the steering wheel in once we put the seats back and kind of see if we need to go forward a little bit or backwards. We only got a little bit to play with that neutral safety switch, so we can't go too far, but it's all in. I'm going to put the gear indicator up here, and should be it. All right, last step is the gear indicator. You can see the park reverse neutral drive with the little orange mohawk looking thing that goes on top. It slides in there, and then it rotates in the glass when you go down into gear or up into gear, and it just bolts on 2 little screws. So we're going to put this in here. We're going to get it lined up. Sure we don't lose. Has a light bulb underneath it that shines up into the glass, and that's what that black wire is for that we talked about earlier. All right, again, all of this stuff is plastic, so don't go manhandling it. Okay, this will also help you now. It'll help you line up the column left and right, so you want to get that basically even. That'll tell you what is top dead center, and then I'm not going to be able to rotate it, but once you pull this in and go up, the orange indicator will move with the column itself. But like I said, it's loose in here now, and then I'll get it cinched down and we'll be good to go. All right, it's a new day. Yesterday, just to recap, we got the master cylinder on and the steering column put in. I came out this morning and was just kind of going over everything. Sometimes when I'm filming YouTube videos, you know, you want to get content, you want to put it on and stuff like that, and you just don't really check every little small thing, especially on camera. It'll take forever. We're just trying to bring you the best content we can. So off camera, a lot of times I go back and I just check and verify everything's good, so I don't basically bore y'all or anything. And one thing that I found out, and it's I've addressed it with the owner already. I'm going to flip the camera around here, but the steering column is probably out. I've been in here for 2 or 3 hours looking at this. So the first thing that I noticed once everything was put on was there's a little piece here where you mount it on the metal. It's basically like a indentation like this, and the column itself has a cutout rectangle that's supposed to sit in, so the column is clocked correctly, and it's basically a piece that sets it real quick and easy and doesn't allow it to rotate or something like that down here. When I did that, this here that already came pre-drilled was clocked real bad. It was clocked about a 1230 instead of a 12. It was just kind of getting on my nerves, and the only way to fix that is to rotate it. Well, once you rotate it, that little square, let's say it's down on the column, is here. The little square is now over here, and then the indentation on the dash is up here. So then it kind of crinkles in the column when you tighten it up, because it's an indentation pushing on something that's not cut out. The cutout portion's over here, if that makes sense. Hopefully it does. The other thing is, once I put everything together, I went and was just messing, was going to turn this, and I realized if you look at the shifter, see the shifter move? Once it gets to a certain point, it moves. This is binding up. You can hear it, hopefully. And then you can see the shifter. That's not good. This is a tilt one. So I've tore all of this apart. I've taken it out 3 or 4 times. I've taken this sleeve out. Nothing that I can get to is causing that. I've tightened this. There's a bearing in here. I've taken this in and out, different types of pressure and everything like that. Nothing is doing that. What it is this column here, there's play in this column, and because it needs to rotate, right? I mean, that's just, there's no way to really tighten that up. And then what I'm finding out is this here, once I took this pin out and took the shifter out, it doesn't do it. It spins just fine, no noise. As soon as I put the shifter back in, or as soon as I clock this a certain way, then it doesn't do it as much. Still does it a little bit, but then like you come down here and it's really grabbing. So it's having to do with the collar, and I think it's just a bad, either bad batch or a bad column itself. Maybe it's on the cheaper side, I'm not sure. I can grab this collar here and I can move it with my hand, and once I get it perfectly in center and go to spin this at the same time, it doesn't bind up. So there's something to do with this shaft running down the middle, and it's most likely, you know, of course, spinning in the middle, and then this has another pipe or collar or something running down to switch the gears down here, and it's basically an egg trying to spin in a circle, if that makes sense. So it spins, and then once it gets to kind of like a cam lobe, once it gets to the top, it kind of binds up, and then it's free to spin again and free to spin again. So something is not right in the actual shaft down here. You can hear it in moving this once and that tells you. Now, once I do, I can take this off and take the shifter out, and it doesn't do it as bad, if anything. But since this shifter has a spring in it to make it go back, that's putting tension on this collar. And I think once it's putting tension on the collar is rotating a little bit like this, and it's binding up. Once I took that shifter out and take that spring out, then it kind of relaxes more into a circle, and then it spins just fine. There's no way to get around that. So we're just either going to have to go with a non-tilt steering wheel or steering column, or, you know, go for a little bit better. He had already bought this. It was just in a box in the back of the truck. We can either try to return it, or get a little bit more expensive one, or go back to a factory one. But that's an issue that I found off camera once going around looking at everything. Another thing that we did off camera is we cut the clutch pedal off. It's no longer here because we are going automatic, and we took the lever out here that operated the transmission clutch down there, that little lever on the frame. So we took that out. That's all off camera, but I've been sitting here for about 2 hours messing with this thing, and I'm about ready to rip it out of the truck. So that's just the name of the game with doing stuff to old classic trucks and buying aftermarket parts. Unfortunately, sometimes it doesn't work out, but as of right now, this is good here. So we're going to put a halt on the steering column for right now. We're going to end this episode and go ahead and post it. It sucks that we didn't have a better outcome, but hey, man, it is what it is. There is no fake stuff here. What happens, happens. You know, it's live. So next episode, what we're going to do is most likely start on the rear suspension, see if we can get this truck completely dropped down. That involves springs, shocks, the panhard bar, and a couple of shims for the pinion for the rear end. So we're going to flip the truck around so we can get to the back, and that's what next episode is going to get involved. So I appreciate everybody stopping by, taking a look. Sorry this episode was not the best, but it is what it is, man. It's truthful. It's you know, it happens to the best of us and it happens to the worst of us, but we're going to keep moving on, and I appreciate it. If y'all like it, subscribe, do the little like, all the chimes, everything like that, and we'll see y'all next time.